1950s, before the revolution of 1964. After 1964, I think he emigrates first to England and then to Canada. And so the rest of the story is about Nuri in Canada. Now, Nuri is not his real name. He's got a superstitious grandmother, and who believes that evil spirits actually can do harm to her children and her grandchildren. But for an evil spirit to do harm to a child or to anyone at all, evil spirits have got to know the name for the person they're going to harm. And the child asked, I'll just read a couple of lines here. Nuri asks the grandmother, how are the evil spirits confounded? So here it goes. So how are evil spirits confounded, Grandma? It's like this, Beta, she begins, stroking my hair with her right hand. Her left hand fits into mine. If an evil spirit wishes to harm you, he has to know your real name. If he doesn't know it, he can't find you. Her mouth moves again. She looks down at me, eyes deep bright. She does not smile. And so we call you Nuri. If the evil spirit harms Nuri, well, Nuri is not your real name. The one called Nuri does not exist. And so the real you is unharmed. But Nuri is also a girl's name, is it not? So much the better to confuse the spirits. She looks at me again. She is clever. Didn't grandfather say that he would be lost without her? When I grow up, I'll give not one but several names to my children, none of them real. That should take care of even the cleverest of spirits. I could call one of them Bilagina without name, or give them no names at all. So that is how Nuri comes to understand that his name is not really Nuri, but it's a name that is known only to him and to his grandmother. Now, what I'll do is to read a lengthy extract from one of the stories, earlier stories. It's called Halima. What will you do when you're older? Halima asks as we squat barefoot on the sand, our eyes on the crab hole that is as round as a 10-cent coin. She asks hard questions. I do not reply. Run your grandfather's shop, I suppose, she says in the flat voice she uses when she is thinking. Uh-huh. She picks a stick from the sand and holds it between her teeth. And you, I ask? What? What will you do? Become an ayah in an Indian or Arab house? I stare at her. She is pretty. Probably at someone like Sheikh Suleimani's, she mutters, sharp through her teeth. Sheikh Suleimani? Yes, as she spits out the stick. The fat and yes, she interrupts harshly. Spits again, then turns to pick another stick. Marry me, Halima. She tilts her head. Silly, I'm older than you. Her voice is now soft. You can help me look after grandfather's shop, the way Grandma does. Besides, she turns to the crab hole and begins stirring it with a stick. The sand is hot, yielding. A crab darts out sideways. Aye, she shrieks. I dive for the crab and miss. Lying flat on the sand, I look up, see her raised leg, all the way up her long thigh. I look away at once. The ground shudders as her foot comes thumping down near the crab. She picks up the creature, struggling limbs in the air, puts it into the glass jar full of seawater. Our first catch of the day. We sit down facing each other, legs stretched out on the sand. She is in her ankle-length kanga cloth, her arms and shoulders bare, shiny smooth. She's taller than I am, but I'll catch up in a year or two. Or even sooner. Grandma says I'm growing up fast. I can smell her. Salt, fresh sweat, the blue and white washing soap Grandma allows her for bathing. She looks up, eyes squeezed against the sun. Dimples appear on each corner of her mouth when she speaks. What? She asks as I watch her. You are pretty. I am black. I continue looking at her as I level the sand near me. She chews on another stick, her teeth white and even. Mama Aya is black and Grandma says she's my second mother. But she's only an Aya, she pouts. Grandma says we all grew up under her care, father also, so she's both mother and grandmother. An Aya is an Aya, Nuri, a servant. She looks out into the sea and says gently this time, she's a good woman, your grandma too. They help my mother and they look after me. She looks up at me, grins. I suppose when I am as old as your Mama Aya, I too will be mother number 2 to someone like you. She picks up the jar, looks closely at the crab, whispers, but our elders always make decisions for us. Sometimes I do not understand why she speaks so seriously about the obvious. I lie on the hot sand. She strokes the flat of my foot with a stick. I stay still. She moves onto the other foot. I jump up, grab her, throw her on her back, but she's strong and is soon on top of me, tickling me hard. I shout and laugh and struggle until she lets go. We throw ourselves down on our backs. I turn my head to look at her. She too is panting, and her chest swells bigger than mother's. We start laughing again and roll ourselves over and over in the sand. Mother does not mind my friendship with Halima, though she is strict about whom I go out with and when and where I go. She has all kinds of rules, but I don't think she remembers them all. Some rules make sense and are good, like the one that allows me to eat as much as I want of whatever she cooks. No one is as good a cook as Mother. She sits on a low wooden stool in the kitchen, next to 2 open charcoal ovens, preparing meals for the whole house. Mama, ghee, she orders, and Mama Aya passes a ghee. Mama, you peel the potatoes, I will do the brinjal, and Mama Aya brings in the pail of potatoes. And when I appear at the kitchen door, all Mother has to do is raise her eyes towards Mama Aya, and Mama Aya gets up and gives me a cup of salty chicken soup, or fingers out 2 fish eyes from the fried changu. Everyone knows fish eyes are for Nuri, and no one else gets them. Not Brother Sham, not Sister Faiza. I roll each eye in my mouth first, sucking the tang of salt and curry, then gently press into its little softness with my front teeth until I reach the hard center, and then I bite it proper to make it as chewy as the Ubani gum Grandma buys from Arab dhow merchants. When it comes to chocolates, Mother's rules are very rigid and make no sense. No more than 1 a day, those are the rules. Just 1 more, please, I beg. She does not reply. I promise I won't eat 1 tomorrow. She does not even look at me. Sometimes I think she pretends not to hear me, continues with her knitting, or combing her long black hair, or pouting before the wall mirror for lipstick. On one matter, Mother relaxes her strict rules. I'm allowed to go to the mosque. I'm not allowed to go to the mosque at dawn because she says I need my sleep for growing up. But once or twice during holidays, she takes me with her, provided I have stayed out of trouble during the previous day. I often fall asleep in her lap as she sits cross-legged on the carpet, saying her silent prayers. But the real reason I like going to the mosque in the morning is our walk back. That is just before sunrise, when darkness is about to leave Stone Town. No need to worry about evil spirits because we have just said our prayers. As we come to Kaku, the grocer's house, we hear him snore loud